You can.
Hi, everybody. We'll get started in just a few moments as we wait for people to join and everything to go live here. Okay, it looks like we're ready to get started. I'm just going to share my screen here. So welcome, everyone. I'm Julie Rodewald, the Voter Services Director for the League of Women Voters of San Luis Obispo County, and want to welcome you to Lunch with the League. If you haven't joined us before, or even if you have, this is a reminder that the League is nonpartisan, a nonpartisan organization, which means that we do not support or oppose political parties or candidates. And our mission is to protect the right to vote and encourage civic engagement. And for this election, we're really focusing on register, learn, vote. And these lunches having every Monday is our effort to get as much information out to our voters as possible about what's going to happen in this election and how they can best participate. So a couple of housekeeping items. You can submit your questions in chat or Q&A. A reminder that our sessions are being recorded and you can see those on our website, on YouTube, and Facebook. This is our sixth Lunch with the League, so there's other content that's out there if you want to go back and if you missed any of the topics. But today's topic is vote by mail. It's easy and safe. So it's 36 days until the election, although as somebody reminded me, it's really 35 days and a number of hours and minutes, but I wasn't going to get into that kind of detail. But this is when the voting begins. Vote by mail packets will be in the mail this week. I've heard maybe as early as Tuesday that they'll hit the mail stream. And in that packet, you'll get a ballot, a return ID envelope, a county information guide, and that ever sought after I voted sticker. This is a picture of what the envelope looks like. It's fairly big. It's almost 10 inches long and about 5.5 inches high. So you really can't miss it. It's got the election logo on it. It says vote. When you get it, put it somewhere safe. If you're not ready to vote yet, and totally understandable, we have a lot that's on the ballot, including the 12 state propositions, but put it somewhere safe that you'll know where it is when you are ready to vote. So this is what your ID envelope looks like. It's really important. The voter has to sign this ID envelope, and the arrow shows you in the red box where the signature goes. And then if your residence address is different than what's on the label, which is just above the business reply mail logo, then you need to put your address there. But otherwise, you don't need to include your address on the envelope. And just remember that you're declaring under penalty of perjury that you're the person whose name appears on the envelope, that you're a resident of the precinct and you reside at the address that's displayed, that you have not applied nor will apply for a vote by mail ballot from any other jurisdiction in this election, and you're declaring that information under penalty of perjury. And you must sign in your own handwriting in order for your ballot to be counted. So just a reminder, there are many ways and many days to return your ballot. You can return it by mail. You can return it at one of the 19 drop boxes located around the county. You can take it to the county clerk's office starting October 5th up until the close of polls on November 3rd. And by the way, the drop boxes open on October 5th as well. And the Člerk-Recorder has offices in both Atascadero and San Luis Obispo. There are 21 voter service centers that will be open October 31st through November 3rd. And there will be drive-by ballot drop-off at all of those locations. So you don't even have to get out of your car in order to hand a ballot actually what they'll do is they'll put the ballot box up to your car window and you can just slip your ballot into that box. The in-person deadline is 8:00 p.m. on November 3rd. We've talked about if you're in line at 8:00 at a voter service center or at a drop box to deposit your ballot, you're eligible to finish voting and put your ballot in. But we really urge you, don't wait until the last minute, because you'd hate to miss elections, the polls closing by a minute. And if you're going to mail your ballot, it needs to be postmarked or received by November 3rd. And then if you mail it like in the days right before the election, it has to be, like I said, postmarked. And if to make sure it's going to get a postmark on it, take it into the post office and ask them to postmark it in front of you. And then it has to be received within 14 days by November 17th. So just a reminder too, that if you're going to mail it, the county is going to pay your postage. So it says no postage necessary, it's business reply mail. So they'll pay the postage on anything that's returned by the mail. So a voter can also designate someone to return their ballot for them. You can, this is on the reverse side of where the signature is. It says, I authorize this person to return my ballot, and they would print their name, they would sign it, and then say what their relationship is to the voter, friend, spouse, neighbor, whatever the relationship is. And one of the things we really, really want to stress, treat your ballot like it's cash. If you were going grocery shopping, or you couldn't go grocery shopping and you needed somebody to grocery shop for you, you wouldn't give $100 and your list to somebody who just shows up at your door and says, I can do your grocery shopping for you. You would count on a trusted friend or neighbor or family member to hand them the cash and your list. So treat your ballot like cash. Don't just give it to anybody. Give it to somebody that you trust that will return it for you. That's really important. I wanted to show you, I think this is a great resource. This actually just went live this morning on the County Clerk-Recorder's website, slowvote.com. At the very bottom of the voter information, you see where to vote, right down here. And what that does is it has a map of all of the in-person voting locations that will open on Saturday, October 31st, as well as the drop boxes. And if you click on one of these, like I have on the ones you see, that shows that was at the Atascadero National Guard Armory, and then the other one, the pickup drop-off box, was at the Templeton CSD office. And if you click on the address that's underlined under that, it's going to link you to Google Maps, and you can enter your address on the top line, and it will give you directions to that polling place or the voter services center or the drop box, whichever you're looking for. So it's a great way to find maybe what's the closest, what's the most convenient voter service center or drop box for you to deposit your ballot. And you can also, you can do it by region. So you can click on South County. It's only going to give you the areas in South County. And what it does is it provides you a list. It doesn't pinpoint the locations, but it provides you a list, and then you can click on, again, the address, and it's going to give you directions. Enter your address, and it'll give you directions on Google Maps. So it's really a great way, a very interactive way to find where your closest voter service center is or drop box. So let's talk signatures. And I know I have a couple Q's and A's. I'm going to try and get through this, and then we'll go back to the Q&A. It's really important on the vote by mail ballot ID/return envelope is compared to the signature on the voter registration record, on the voter's voter registration record, and it must match before the envelope can be opened. So a lot of the questions that I've been getting are, what happens if I no longer sign my full name? My signature has changed significantly. I can't physically write my name, or I forgot to sign my envelope. What do I do? So let's talk about signatures and changes to signatures. So I gave you some examples here. When I first registered to vote, I registered as Rebecca Annette Voter. wanted to write out my whole name. Well, after years of signing that in whatever, I thought, you know, this is just taking too long. I'm going to shorten that to either RA voter, or now I go by Becky instead of Rebecca. So I'm going to just be Becky voter. If you look at those 3 signatures, there you can see the similarities. The voter looks very similar. The R looks similar. So the A and Annette and the RA, I believe that those signatures would be accepted. When I was the county clerk, I would have accepted all of those 3 signatures. But if you look at the very bottom one, I'm so tired of signing anything but RV. There's really not much there that you can compare to the signature. So that's one thing, is that you don't have to sign your full name if that's how you originally signed it. You can use a nickname, initials, as long as there's something in your signature that matches what is on your voter registration form. But the one at the bottom, if now you're signing like that, or sometimes we see, you know, there's an R and just a line, unless that is how you signed your voter registration card, then it's probably not going to match. So what happens, well, first of all, if you are concerned about your signature, say it was 20 or 30 years ago that you registered to vote, I really want to encourage you to re-register to vote now. Get a new signature on file for you. You can do it online. And then what happens is that your signature for DMV will be your voter registration signature. So check and see, what is that signature like on your driver's license. Or you can complete a new voter registration card. You can request one from the Člerk-Recorder by calling their election office number, or you can pick one up at a post office, and the postage is paid on those as well when you return that the registration card. But really, it's important that if you do re-register, use that signature when you sign your vote by mail ballot. That's one of the things that we really try and stress to the voters. You know, over the years when I was the county clerk, I would have many conversations with voters who would say, well, I change my signature all the time. Well, you need to pick one for voter registration and use it when you sign your vote by mail ballot. That's the only way that the elections office staff has to compare to make sure that it's the voter that was signing that envelope. So if your signature is rejected, you will be notified. You'll get a letter that says signature verification statement and instructions, and it instructs you to sign the verification statement at the bottom. And you need to sign that and return it by the deadline. Now, this is kind of critical because the deadlines sort of move. So if you turn in your ballot, say 2 weeks before the election, and the signature doesn't match, you'll get a letter within a couple of days of that signature rejection. If you get it before the election, you need to get it, the first deadline is to get it to a voter service center or a drop box within the county before the close of polls on election day. And I stress within the county because you may remember that a vote by mail ballot can be turned in to any county in the state, but not this signature verification form. It has to come back to the county where you're registered. Or let's say you turn in your ballot on election day and signature doesn't match. You also have the opportunity to be notified and to correct that signature. And it needs to be submitted no later than 5 p.m. 2 days prior to the certification of the election. So it has to get returned to the county elections office, either by mail or in person. So what does 2 days prior to the certification of the election mean? The certification date is sort of a moving target. The absolute deadline, statutory deadline, is December 3rd for certification. But some counties can complete their certification in 14 days. Some can do it in 19 days and 20 days. So it's really important that you contact your elections official what is that certification date? What is the deadline for me to get this in so that you don't miss that deadline? And the signature on your statement must compare with the signature in the voter registration record. So they're giving you an opportunity to re-sign to say, no, this is my signature. This is how I should have signed my vote by mail ballot. The other thing that this does is it catches when a spouse signs, the other spouses or someone living in the same household signs somebody else's ballot inadvertently. Is it puts you on notice that, hey, this is not, we don't think that this is your signature, so you need to get us a correct signature. If you're unable, a voter's unable to sign the envelope, say maybe you have a tremor in your hand, maybe you've broken both of your hands, and so there's no way that your signature is going to match. You can make a mark and then have a witness sign saying that they witnessed you make that mark, and that will count as your signature. You will also be notified if your envelope is not signed, and you wouldn't believe how many envelopes come back without a signature on them, even though it says all over the envelope, sign this before you turn it in. And now I think that what they're stressing is signed, sealed, and delivered. Sign it, seal it, and then deliver it either to a drop box or to a mailbox. So the same kind of deadlines apply. It has to be signed and returned by either the close of polls within the county or 2 days prior to the certification of the election. And again, it must match the signature that's in the voter registration record. So a couple of important reminders. You can vote as soon as you get your ballot. If ballots go in the mail tomorrow, which is Tuesday, September 29th, they should be in county mailboxes by the end of the week. So watch out for it. And if you're ready, you can actually vote that ballot and turn it in. The voter service centers, again, will open, the drop boxes will open on October 5th, as well as the county clerk recorder's office will be open to accept ballots on October 5th. I really urge everyone to sign up for Where's My Ballot? And you can find that at slowvote.com and track your ballot all the way through acceptance of the signature. If you've already done that, you should get a notification when it hits the post office to come to you, but we really want to encourage everybody to do that. Turn in your ballot by 8:00 p.m. on November 3rd. Again, there are many ways and many days for you to do that. And if you're mailing close to November 3rd, please make sure it gets a postmark on it. The other important thing is open any correspondence from the county elections office. If you get a letter from the county elections office or the county clerk recorder during this time when voting is going on, it's most likely about your ballot or about what's happening with voting. So please open any correspondence that you get from them. And if you have any questions, contact the county elections office at their number at 781-5228. There is one question in the Q&A. We're almost done here, except for what's coming up next week. So I've talked really fast, I guess. So I have a question here. Signatures on the return envelope. Which signature do I use? And we talked about this already, that you don't have to sign your full name, however you normally sign, or however you signed your voter registration card. That's the signature that you need to use. And then watch for, again, if you sign up for track Where's My Ballot, you'll be able to see when it's been received and when it's been accepted, when the signature on that envelope has been accepted, so that your ballot can be opened, your envelope can be opened, the ballot separated and ready for counting. And then know that you will get notified if your signature was rejected for any reason. And there's a way to cure that, that signature without having to actually vote another ballot. So it looks like those are the only questions that we have. I'll keep that screen up just in case another one pops up. I appreciate everybody that was here today. There's 21 joining us today. This is, like I said, our 6th lunch with the league. And then I just want to remind you about next week. So next week is Misinformation, Election Myths Busted. So it'll be your opportunity to ask questions of our guest, Tommy Gong, who's the San Luis Obispo County Clerk-Recorder. And I won't be joining you next week. It'll be Laura Albers, who is another one of our league members, will be joining. So you don't have to listen to me next week. It'll probably be a relief for many of you. But hopefully you'll join us. You can also send questions in advance if you want to voter service at lwvslo.org. And just a reminder to follow us on Facebook. And for election information, visit slowvote.com. They are updating their website almost daily. I do have a couple more questions. And then you can also visit the San Luis Obispo League of Women Voters, San Luis Obispo website. So here's a question. I'm power of attorney for a woman who is housebound. Her signature is shaky compared to her original signature. Should I witness it? And yes, that would be the best thing to do, is to witness the signature. I mean, she can try and sign it, but if you sign as a witness, then that'll make sure that it does get counted. The other thing is that a power of attorney, you can't use a power of attorney to sign for someone on their ballot. You can do that on other documents, on legal documents, but a power of attorney does not count for a voter's signature on their vote by mail ballot. So it's best to just have her make a mark, and then you can witness that. And you can also assist her in voting. If she has a difficult time marking her ballot, you can help her with that. She can tell you what her vote is if that's what she wants to do, and then you can mark her ballot for her. Another question that came up is this the first time that the stickers are sent with the vote by mail ballots? Yes, it is the first time that that's been done. And the reason that they're doing it is because they're really trying to encourage people to stay away from the polls or the voter service centers, to keep everybody safe, including the voters. Stay away, and you're going to get your vote by mail ballot, and it will have a sticker in it, so you can wear it proudly either right after you vote or wear it proudly on election day. So a question came about the power of attorney, and it says her mail comes to me. Should I return with her address? Yes, it should be the voter's address, where the voter is registered. So the voter probably has her residence address, but the mailing address is being sent to you as her power of attorney. It should be her residence address that gets listed on the envelope. And then one of our attendees asked, is this program available later on? And yes, it is. It's being taped, recorded, so that'll be available on our Facebook page, on our website, and on YouTube. So either of those three. It takes at least a couple of hours to get it up. And all of our past sessions are also on the league's website. If you look under news and events, then you can find the past sessions there as well. One thing to note is that the voice and the lips don't always sync up, so it looks kind of funny sometimes. But if I'm sharing a screen, it's not quite as bad. Just don't. I look like I'm a badly subtitled movie. So. So a question came up: what options are available for voters that need assistance in voting, and can anyone assist a voter with their ballot? So there's several things that a voter that needs assistance can do. And one of them, and I'll talk about it later because I don't know exactly how it works, but I understand that for this election, there is a way for a voter to vote with their computer. They would then have to print the ballot. It's not like an electronic ballot. They would have to print the ballot, but it helps voters that need assistance to vote independently. But I don't know that it's available quite yet, and I don't know that much about it. Hopefully the County Clerk Recorder's website will have that information. But in terms of who can assist a voter, anybody of their choice can assist them except their employer or a member of their employer's union. Those are the only restrictions on who can assist a voter. But if the voter asks anyone for their help, then that person can assist them. And the same if they go to the polls, they can ask for assistance at the polls. And one of the workers at the polls can assist them, or they can bring someone with them. Also, if they go to a voter services center, there's a ballot marking device called the ICX, and it allows a voter to mark their ballot. It's basically a touch screen, and allows the voter to mark the ballot without assistance from anybody. You can, if the person is sight impaired, then they can listen to the ballot on headphones and make their choices on a paddle, or with the buttons that say, yes, this is what I want to vote on, or no, it's not what I want to vote on. So it's a pretty nifty device, and all it does is just mark a ballot for you, and then it prints out that ballot, and that ballot gets deposited into the ballot box. While we want everybody to stay away from the polls if they can, if they do need assistance, those machines would be available either at the voter services centers or at the county clerk recorder's offices beginning October 5th. A voter could go in and vote on that. So I think that's all the questions that we have. I appreciate you sending in your questions. I hope that I answered them all sufficiently, and I really appreciate you joining us again. And stay tuned for next week. I think it should be an interesting conversation with your current County Clerk Recorder, Tommy Gong. Did I just have another question pop up? Oh, thank you. Thanks for liking my answers, or that I answered the questions sufficiently. Thanks everybody for coming, and I'll miss you next week, but I'll be here the week after that. Thanks.